This is the basic building material I use to make Zero's doghouse. All it is foam insulation board, basically just a giant piece of styrofoam that you can buy in the home improvement stores in the insulation section. All of this writing, all the print on here, is actually just a plastic sheet that you can peel off. You want to make sure you do that before you paint it. Some of them also come with reflector boards on the back. So this peels off as well too, so any of these will work. There's a couple different ways you can cut it. You could just use a box cutter, a little handheld razor. You can even just use a little saw, like a drywall saw would be great. A Dremel works really well too, with just a drill bit end on it, and you can it'll just slice it right down there. It does make a lot of the little edges break off, but it works just fine. There's also a couple companies that make a hot wire knife that's actually just a really hot knife that will go through and just melt it and cut it like butter. It leaves off horrible fumes, but they make really nice edges. They're just pretty pricey. Some of the craft stores sell smaller versions of it, but that won't work for this. You would need to get the big dog ones if you're going to do that. I'm just going to use a knife. Okay, so you just need a couple basic shapes to start off with. Draw yourself a front of his doghouse. You're going to need 3 of these pieces. One for the front, one for the back, and then one we're going to cut a little arch out of and glue it on, and I'll show you how to do that. Then we're also going to need 2 side pieces as well as 2 for the roof. So this is the additional front of the house piece that I was talking about. You're going to need to draw an arc, which we're going to cut this piece out, glue the whole top onto the front so it looks like there's a little entryway on this epitaph. And you need to just draw a little zero face. It actually looks like a little mouse face with a teardrop, 2 ears, 2 teardrop eyes, and then might be a little hard to see, but there's little crossbones right there as well too. We're going to take those and glue this on separately. And then it's written across the top as 0. Whenever you are painting this, you could just go ahead and paint that on in black after, but I'm going to actually take my Dremel and carve it in there. I have this really neat attachment for my Dremel that's actually a guard, so I can adjust it to how deep I want to make those indentions and just set it on top and just kind of grind it out. Since these are a little bit fine, a little smaller than for my box cutter, I'm going to go ahead and cut it with my Dremel as well too. You're going to need to get some adhesive that you can glue styrofoam boarding to. A lot of spray adhesives work, but they're really hard to work for this. When you're gluing little things, you end up spraying everything around. You have to be really, really careful that you don't get anything that has an acetone in it, because it will eat the foam. Same thing with your paint. You cannot use spray paint on this foam because it will eat it. So take one of your front of the house pieces, and then you take that piece that we just cut out. We're going to glue it to this. And then this is going to make the very front of the house. We're going to glue this together. Then we're going to paint this black, just the inside, and then the letters black, if you carve them out. If you did not carve them out, just paint them in last. Once that's completely dried, we're then going to glue the 0 on. Next step is to take all of our pieces and paint them gray. Doesn't have to be fancy. Even if you get gray on the block, that's okay. We're gonna kind of black wash everything after and make it look like it's been in the cemetery for a while. You also want to make sure you do your crossbones and zero head. Do the edges as well too. So before we go any farther, we need to attach our anchors, because if we just set a doghouse on the ground, it'll most likely blow away. We're going to use the same method we use for all of the other props that I've made, which is stick PVC inside somewhere, which is going to be the back. These are the side walls, the two side walls. We're only going to put 2 anchors on this. That's it. Doesn't need much. What we're going to do is we're going to adhere a scrap piece of PVC on the inside of each side wall. What that's going to do is we're going to have metal posts or dowel rods that stay in the ground every night. These are going to, once they're attached, we'll pick up the whole house and just slide them right over top, which is going to anchor them to the ground. So anybody kicks it over, it won't be able to move or any breeze. Now, I don't want to just glue this right to here. It might roll. It's not going to be as sturdy as I'd like it to be. So I just grabbed some of the scrap styrofoam and I'm going to just anchor it. I'm going to glue this down, glue these 2 pieces down beside it. That one, straight ones. And then one on top of it. Put a weight on it and let it dry overnight. All of the inside attachments are dry. I then put glued zeros face and crossbones on here, and those are dry, so now we're just going to put everything together. Ideally, you would put this together outside. You'd put your dowel rods or metal rods in the ground, put your 2 sideboards in, and construct from there. Mother Nature's not agreeing, so we're going to make do inside today. I'm just going to use the same adhesive I have been using the whole time. And then I'm also going to use, if you have toothpicks, use it. I just have these bamboo sticks. Once I put them together, I'm just going to insert probably maybe half of this in all of the joints just to hold it together while the glue is drying. Next part, I'm going to shingle the roof. Now you don't have to do this part. You can certainly just take a black Sharpie or a black paint and draw shingles on there. I wanted to go for more of a 3D realistic effect, so I very tediously cut out about 100 shingles from the styrofoam. I took the inch piece that I had, cut it in half, and then made these little shingles out of it. Now I'm just going to use the same glue that I have been doing and just layer them all the way up. Do the same on the other side. We don't have to worry about the top yet because we're going to put a flat cap on the top. And then also I'm going to let them overhang just a little bit, and I'm also going to put caps on the front there to show any of the inconsistencies where we put the walls and the roof together, because I have a lot. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the shingles to dry, I'm going to go ahead and put a top piece on. I cut this long rectangle piece, but it looks kind of funny on there. So I'm going to take about 1/2 inch and just kind of cut it at an angle to make it slope down a little bit. Okay, so I finished a couple trim pieces and just kind of beveled the edges as best as I could. None of this is perfect to scale. It's supposed to look like it's an old mausoleum and has been sitting in there for a while. So I'm just going to glue this on top of here. Then I also made these 2 trim pieces just to cover up my seams, because I have some gaps down here because it didn't fit as well as I planned. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue these on here as well, just like that. And then as soon as everything dries, we're going to go ahead and paint it and we will be done. So here we go, all said and done. Everything has been painted gray. Now it looks good like this, but I think it looks a little flat. So I'm going to take a cup of water, put some black paint in it, and just kind of brush it lightly over some areas to give it a little bit of the dark, dirty, more of an old stone look to it. Alright, so here's my water and paint mixture. I'm just going to kind of blot it on there, and then I'm going to rub it off with a towel a little bit. I almost made a critical mistake. I almost forgot to put the cross on top of Zero's house. So I'm just going to take some scrap pieces that I have, and I'm going to glue them on here. But I'm not just going to do the glue because I'm afraid it might fall apart. So I'm going to stick a skewer to connect them all as well as the glue, and then I'll leave that skewer in there. Paint the whole thing gray, do the water and black paint as well, and then stick the whole thing in the top of the house. Ooh, come in. Come here, Squirt. He's my Ferg. Come here, Squirty. Come here. Come in. Fergie and Squirt both want to say thanks for watching. If you want to learn how to make the rest of Jack, some more Nightmare Before Christmas props, as well as other Halloween shenanigans, make sure you subscribe. Any comments or questions, make sure you leave them below. Thanks a bunch.